What up? I just got a new phone, and the whole goal was to make content, and I'm testing out this new microphone, get the audio quality a lot better, we make the adjustments as we go. But the best time to start, is now. Sometimes you're not even ready. Sometimes I'm not even ready. I'm like, you know what? I just need to start. But it's natural to face inertia, especially when with an example. I'm gonna be honest, because I like to share my journey, be honest with you. When you're chasing your dreams and going, especially as a man, it raises your testosterone. And my testosterone raises so high because I'm going after my goals. I'm macking on the universe. I'm doing what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I'm just aligned. I'm a vessel for the Most High. It's just that energy raises your testosterone. And sometimes that builds up a lot of sexual energy. And when it builds up a lot of sexual energy, you need a release, right? So Napoleon Hill talks about it. And this is a flow of consciousness. I had a general idea what I want to talk about the video, but, I'm just going with whatever comes divinely to me. But basically, that built up of sexual energy needs to be released. And I can release it destructively, right? I can be chasing women, I can be chasing distractions, or I can use that sexual energy to create. Just think about it. On a third dimensional world, that sexual energy can create a child and create a baby. That's how powerful it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you channel that energy, when you channel that sexual energy into manifesting your dreams, and you're like impregnating the universe. In Egyptian spirituality, if you study it, there's a goddess Nut. That's the universal womb, right? The universal womb, right? So I forget the name of the male person that, in the story. I need to do more research on it, but the universal womb is goddess Nut, right? So as a man creating, you're like impregnating the universe, and you're like creating your goal and your vision. Just think about it. When a woman's pregnant, she knows she's pregnant, right? But it's like a month, so it's not even noticeable. But she knows she's pregnant because she starts feeling sick, all the stuff that, is part of the journey. And then over time, she starts feeling it. The embryo starts growing. She starts to feel connection with the child. I've had some women tell me that they had a dream of what the gender was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like, or sometimes I've had other women tell me that they feel the connection with the child. It's like a intimate experience before the child is even born, right? There's so many women that have different types of experiences, But what I'm trying to say, I'm gonna bring everything back home. Your vision is like you impregnating the universe. Only you can feel it and see it. And then obviously, when the woman gives birth, the child is like, in 9 months, the child is born. That's the same thing with your vision. The more you take care of it and nurture the universal womb, your goals and manifestation, they stay steady, and you keep nurturing it, and then your manifestation keeps growing. The whole, I'm tying in the actual pregnancy from a woman in the third dimension to the universal womb. So, and then once the baby is born, you gotta feed it, because the baby's not gonna be able to take care of itself. You need to feed it. It can't even eat food yet. It doesn't have teeth, right? You need to feed it. You need to nurture it. You need to raise it until it becomes a full functioning adult. And then it has more legs to walk, right? The child is grown. That's the same thing with your vision. You have to nurture your vision. Even when it's born into the third dimension, like say you register your business, you get your first client. Okay, cool. Now you gotta master your craft. Now you gotta get more clients. Now you gotta perfect what you do. Now you gotta work on your goals, right? So once the vision is manifested from idea into the physical, you still have to nurture it. You still have to grow it every single day. Like look at, for example, Coca-Cola. I read this marketing book. I forget the exact numbers, but they spend like more than Apple and Microsoft combined. I think it's called Unconscious Branding. I think that's the book. I don't have it with me. I would show it, but I don't have it with me. You know, it's in my room and I'm in the car. But anyways, damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. Yeah, so Coca-Cola spends a lot on branding and advertising. They spend billions. And you already know what Coca-Cola is, but you know, they're spending it on their brand. So what I'm trying to correlate, when you're building your brand, when you're building your vision, if you don't have the capital, you got to put energy. Energy is currency, right? You got to put energy into your vision. You got to do it every single day. Every single day, you got to nurture it. You got to let it grow, and you got to make sure it's taken care of every single day. That the work doesn't stop. You know, the work doesn't stop, and bringing it all back home. That sexual energy is a life force. You know, you can use it destructively. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun, do what you gotta do. You know, if you have a lot of testosterone, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? But you should value that energy. You should value it and put it into creating. Creating is because when you create, you're putting your creation into the physical dimension. Think about it. It starts in your mind, and then you're putting it into the physical dimension. And how many people can you inspire? How much? You never know. You never know. As you develop and master your craft, you really don't know how far it can go. And every single day, you just want to keep developing and nurturing it and putting that into creation. You know, so that's one thing. And now I'm gonna jump into a different subject right now. You know, I'm just flowing right now. This is a flow of consciousness. Sometimes, you know, I did a podcast on letting go, you know, and it was really good. Shout out to Michael, you know what I'm saying? It was a good podcast. You know what I'm saying? When you just, sometimes we want to overthink, but when you're just in the moment, you're just having fun. Like when I'm networking or when I'm talking to a stranger, I'm just like, I'm in the moment. I'm feeling the vibe. I went to a Walmart to buy this microphone, you know what I'm saying? And I had a conversation with an older gentleman about some sort of like watch or some shit, man. It was random, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm just like, and then I had a random conversation with a lady at some furniture store. You know what I'm saying? I'm just vibing. I'm living life. You know, and it's super important to do that because, you know, we're all humans at the end of the day. And I look at people like energy. That's really what I do. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's just like, this world is cold enough. Especially like, yo, the shit that I've been through. Like, this isn't a pity party. I'm not trying to play victim, but if I get into the nitty gritty of all the shit that I've had to overcome, I think I qualify. I think I'm in the discussion for MVP of like tragic shit that's happened to you, right? But you know what I'm saying? But I've also met some people who've had it worse. You know, at the end of the day, it's all perspective. But anything bad that happens to you, it's building you. It's part of your life story. Because think about your favorite movie. You know, I recently saw Doctor Strange, right? I mean, that's one of my favorite movies. I've been seeing it a few times. Sorry, let me hydrate my game. Some good H2O. I think we're like 80% water. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, in the movie Doctor Strange, he's like a top doctor, and then his hands get fucked up or some shit, and then he goes to depression, and then he can't go back to his old life because, you know, his hands are broken. And then he ends up finding a treatment, but he has to go to a place called Kamatage, and then he finds someone that's like a master, and he learns secrets and he learns how to heal himself. But because he learned how to heal himself, he also learned To much is given, much is required. So now he learns so much secrets that it's hard for him to go back to his old life. It's like when your paradigm shifts, when you're exposed to different things, it's kind of hard to just go back to the regular world. Like an example, since I've been on my journey in development, when I do wrong, actually I'm consciously aware that I'm doing wrong. And that's a greater consequences because you know what you're doing now. Because you're aware. So it's like people who are not in control of their consciousness, they're letting propaganda, they're letting malevolent energy, demonic energies pull the string. They ain't even in control of their consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So they're just being used as a vessel for bad, and they're not even aware of their own consciousness. They're running off a program. You know, it's like if society tells me I'm a drug dealer, I mean it. And when I was growing up, I thought the family trade was the gangbang, but that's a different story, man. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? But then when you realize, you be like, I'm not a program. I'm a divine human being. I'm a divine human being. I'm not a gang member. I'm not this and that. I'm not anything society tries to put onto me. I'm a divine human being that's created in the image of my Father. I'm connected to the source. You know what I'm saying? And you should look at yourself too. I'm a divine masculine principle. And if you're a female, you're the divine feminine. You know what I'm saying? Embrace your divinity. Embrace your power. Embrace who you are. Right? So to tie everything back in, you know, society will tell you who you are, you know, and when you know who you are, you're aware of your power. And when you're aware of your power, when you do wrong, you actually know you're doing wrong. You know you're leaking energy from your auric field. And that's like, it's kind of, you know, and then once you know these things, it's kind of like you look at things differently, you know, so it's like, you see what it is, the actual spiritual warfare that's actually going on. When you're awake to this stuff, you see it. So when you choose to indulge it, I honestly believe, you know, everyone has their own belief. I honestly believe the karma's twice as hard, because when you know what you're doing wrong, it's like, okay, you know, at least with other people, they're upon it. They ain't even awake. You know what I'm saying? It's, they not know what they do. You know what I'm saying? But the higher you go up in consciousness, you know, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it to the esoteric. The more you realize why, you know, Yeshua, Christ, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, had his disciples, because this man knew information. Turn water into wine. What does that mean on the esoteric level? You turn negative energy into positive. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is, you know. Too much is given, much is required. And, you know, that's the thing. When you seek higher knowledge, it's really going to take you down a rabbit hole. And once you just learn and learn and learn, you can't stop. So that's why I don't blame people if you don't want to go down this path. All I would say, if you don't want to go down the deep knowledge, most of the things I might say might be going over your head, which is cool. Like, I'm not insulting you. There's kind of like, you know, just be a good person. If you don't want to get deep into the esoteric stuff, into the higher consciousness, but I'll warn you, once you hear some shit that I say, seeds are gonna be planted, and you're gonna want to reach your highest form, and that's gonna be, you're gonna want to keep learning and learning. It's a non-stop thing, you know what I'm saying? Because human evolution is a very powerful thing, and once you realize that you can reach heights beyond your imagination, it's mind-blowing, especially when you surround yourself with people who have been on that path as well, and you see how their evolution is going. And it's just something, especially when you get into the rooms, like, you know, shout out to my boy Darren, man. When I was at his crib, man, them conversations we were having with him and his friend Rob, man, it's just like, them conversations were so high level. It's just like, that's the type of vibration you gotta be on to even attract that and be in those rooms, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crazy. But, you know, everyone is on their life journey. I don't judge. But what I'm trying to say is that just be a good person. Just be a good person. Even on a basic level, if you're not trying to reach higher consciousness, it's a choice. You don't have to. If you're happy with the life you have now, I actually got this from Kevin Trudeau. That's some good game. Kevin Trudeau said, because he was part of like the Brotherhood, it's kind of like, you know, secret societies and shit, you know. Anyways, he was saying that once you like the life you live, like the concept of his book, Your Wish Is Your Command, basically was saying that there's more, that he's in that book is like hundreds of pages long, you know. I'm like, I've listened to the audio and I'm almost done reading it, but it's gonna be a book like I'm gonna be reading every single day. It's like it's right there with the Bible, you know what I'm saying? Read that shit every day. He said that he was just scratching the surface. Like, what you need in that book is gonna get you a great life, but you know, if you don't want to go any deeper, then you don't. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, when you're elevating as a person, if you like that version of you, then just maintain that vibration. Maintain the vibration of the version you want to be. Say if you're like level 2, and level 2 is a great life. You're living positively. You like the life that you made. You like your reality. You're the creator of your own reality. Don't let the world tell you what your reality is. You're the creator of your own reality. So if you're happy at, like, let's say level 2, stay there. Hold that vibration and be consistent with that person. But if you're constantly elevating, you know what I'm saying? Just know that you gotta let go of your old identity in the process. And it's hard, you know, as you level up, it's like letting go of old identities, and it's like you gotta be okay with that. You really gotta be okay with that, and it's part of your evolution. And just know that change is part of life, you know. So, but yeah, just be a good person. I rambled off a bit, you know. This was a flow of consciousness. I'm gonna be making way more content now that I got the mic, you know what I'm saying? But definitely, I just want to make this video right here. If you got any idea, any topics or concepts, I'll probably be doing some lives in the future, you know, be more consistent with the content. But yeah, just my first video on the YouTube with the mic, you know, so just be flowing flow of consciousness. So that's about it, yo. Peace.